Today, the true cost of the Ukraine conflict is being paid not on the battlefield, but within Russia's borders. The Kremlin's guns over growth strategy is laid bare in a new budget, dedicating a staggering 40% of government spending to defense and security. This monumental diversion of resources is fueling a catastrophic domestic decay. From crippling fuel shortages and soaring food inflation to collapsing healthcare and public infrastructure, the Russian state is prioritizing its war machine over its people. This analysis will detail how this choice is tearing apart the nation's societal fabric, creating an internal crisis potentially more threatening than any external foe. At the heart of these domestic failures is the Kremlin's inability to secure its own airspace against Ukrainian drone attacks. This vulnerability has become so critical that, at approximately 3:45 a.m., reports surfaced of Russian law enforcement resorting to social media platforms like TikTok to issue public safety warnings. In a clear admission that conventional air defense systems are failing to protect civilian areas, police officers are now instructing citizens on how to avoid and react to drone attacks. This move effectively shifts the responsibility of personal safety from the state to the individual. The instructional video lays out a specific protocol for civilians to follow. It warns that a buzzing or rustling sound from the sky, similar to a lawnmower, at an altitude of approximately 100 meters, could signal the presence of an unmanned aerial vehicle or UAV. Upon observing this, citizens are instructed to immediately seek cover in any substantial structure, such as an apartment building, an underground passage, or even behind a large tree to protect themselves from shrapnel and blast waves. For those already indoors, the directive is to stay away from windows, as shattered glass poses a significant secondary danger, and to move to lower floors. If a drone is spotted while in a vehicle, the advice is to stop, exit the car, and find nearby cover. In the event of an explosion, the protocol is to lie flat on the ground, cover one's head with their hands, and move away from the blast site by crawling or rolling. Crucially, the advisory includes strict rules regarding information security. Citizens are explicitly forbidden from sharing photos or videos of UAVs on social media. This measure is designed to prevent Ukrainian forces from conducting real-time battle damage assessments and adjusting their follow-up strikes. Furthermore, the use of radio communication devices, mobile phones, or any GPS-enabled electronics is prohibited near a downed UAV, likely to prevent the remote detonation of unexploded ordnance or interference with electronic warfare efforts. The public is sternly warned not to touch any part of a crashed drone, as its components could be explosive or coated in hazardous materials. Instead, they are instructed to leave the area immediately and report the location to the emergency number 112. This public information campaign, while practical, underscores a profound failure in state security, placing the burden of defense squarely on the shoulders of ordinary citizens. The drone campaign's strategic goals go far beyond psychological impact. It is systematically degrading Russia's economic backbone. Ukrainian strikes have successfully targeted the nation's energy sector, with analysis suggesting that nearly 40% of Russia's oil refining capacity is now offline. This has triggered a severe fuel crisis across 57 different regions of the country. The situation has become so dire that widespread restrictions on gasoline sales have been put in place. At numerous filling stations, customers are limited to purchasing a maximum of 10 litres, or roughly 2.6 gallons, of fuel at a time. This disruption has forced Russia into the strategically humiliating position of importing fuel from its neighbour and client state, Belarus, just to meet its own internal demand. This reality starkly contradicts the Kremlin's long-cultivated image of Russia as a dominant global energy superpower. In an attempt to counter the drone threat, Russian authorities have deployed extensive electronic warfare measures, most notably the widespread jamming of Global Positioning System, or GPS, and cellular internet signals across entire cities. The tactical aim is to disrupt the guidance systems of Ukrainian long-range drones, which often rely on satellite and cellular networks to navigate to their targets. However, the collateral damage inflicted on the civilian population and local infrastructure appears to be far outweighing any military benefits. By dawn, reports from major urban centers described significant disruptions to daily life. The jamming has rendered civilian navigation apps useless, causing chaos for motorists and logistics companies. One viral social media video showed a driver who had been lost for over an hour, completely unable to navigate his own city without GPS. While Ukrainian drones continue to hit their targets with a high degree of accuracy, Russian citizens are bearing the full brunt of their own government's countermeasures. This has fueled a growing sentiment online that the loss of internet and navigation is a more immediate and disruptive problem than the potential destruction of a distant oil refinery. Analysts also suggest this drone excuse provides political cover for a much broader strategic goal, tightening the state's control over the flow of information. With the war's progress stalling and its costs mounting, a more stringent censorship regime has become necessary. In recent weeks, Russian authorities have blocked voice and video call features on popular encrypted messaging platforms like Telegram and WhatsApp. Simultaneously, citizens are being pressured to download a new state-sponsored application called Max. This app, developed and managed by Kremlin-affiliated entities, critics say it could enable broad access to user communications, effectively erasing the concept of private digital correspondence. While some citizens attempt to bypass these restrictions using virtual private networks, or VPNs, these methods are often unreliable and highlight the increasingly repressive information environment within the country. This digital crackdown is unfolding against a backdrop of a rapidly deteriorating economic reality for the average Russian. Major corporations, battered by supply chain disruptions, sanctions, and falling demand, are implementing drastic cost-cutting measures. A common tactic has been to reduce the official work week from 5 days to 4, which translates to an immediate payroll reduction of at least 20%. This also impacts employee eligibility for performance-based bonuses, as they are tied to revenue and profit targets that companies are no longer able to meet. This sharp drop in real income is then compounded by runaway inflation, especially in the food sector. According to the Russian government's own statistics, monthly food inflation has consistently been near or above 10% for most of the year, recently dipping to a still painful 9.5%. These official numbers are widely believed to understate the true scale of the crisis. When examining the price of staple foods, the increases are far more dramatic. Potatoes, a cornerstone of the Russian diet often called the second bread, have seen their price surge by 200% over the last 12 months. This tripling in price represents the steepest increase in 23 years, and places an immense strain on household budgets already shrinking from wage cuts. The Russian government's budget priorities reveal a deliberate choice to finance the war directly at the expense of its own population. A grim joke circulating in Russian society compares the government to an alcoholic father who, upon learning the price of alcohol has gone up, tells his son not that he will drink less, but that his son will eat less. This dark humor perfectly captures the public's perception of the new 2026 federal budget. This massive reallocation of funds has necessitated deep cuts to essential public services. The national healthcare system is facing a potential collapse, marked by a severe shortage of doctors in public hospitals, as low government wages drive medical professionals into the more lucrative private sector. The Kremlin's solution was not to increase healthcare funding, but to issue a decree banning doctors from working in private clinics, unless they also hold a position in the public system, a coercive measure that fails to address the root cause of underfunding. Simultaneously, a sanitation crisis is emerging in at least 30 Russian regions due to a critical shortage of landfill capacity. These landfills were scheduled for replacement as early as 2019, but the necessary funds were diverted to pre-war military buildups. Now, 6 years past their intended closure date, these facilities are overflowing, leading to reports of garbage piling up on city streets. The convergence of these crises, from failing public safety and economic decline to collapsing healthcare and decaying infrastructure, paints a clear picture of a state that is prioritizing its geopolitical ambitions over the basic well-being of its people. Ultimately, this internal decay may prove to be a more formidable threat to the Kremlin's long-term hold on power than any single setback on the Ukrainian battlefield.